Somewhere over northern Peru, a drone is flying low with a laser pointed at the ground, and the laser is finding walls, not one wall. In a single pass, in August of 2025, it maps more than 200 stone structures spread across a mountaintop ridge above a district called La Yalca, structures no one had catalogued, no one had surveyed, no one had confirmed existed at all. That same season, 2 carved ceremonial club heads come out of the rubble of a collapsed wall. And as of this recording, there is no funded second excavation season, and no full academic paper on any of it anywhere. That isn't a delay, it's a pattern. The Chachapoya have been falling through the same institutional gap for 500 years, and we can prove it because it has already happened to them at least twice before. Go back 40 years to 1984. A small survey team called the Antisuyo Expedition is working the Utcubamba Valley on a tip from 2 local guides. What the guides lead them to is a cliff face at Karajía, 24 meters of sheer rock, and inside a crevice, 7 sarcophagi standing shoulder to shoulder, an 8th lost to an earthquake decades earlier. Each one up to 2.5 meters tall. Human faces pressed into the clay. On some of them, a second skull mounted on top of the head like a crown. By any measure, this is one of the most important funerary discoveries in South American archaeology. And then it just sits there. For a year. Untouched, unpublished. No one climbs back up to it until 1985, when archaeologist Federico Kaufmann-Doig finally scales the wall with help from a local climbing club and confirms what the guides had known all along. Here's the part that should bother you. The site wasn't unknown. French researchers had noted it, in passing, in 1950. Then the trail goes cold for 34 years. A funerary tradition unlike anything else in the Andes, sarcophagi shaped like standing ancestors, set to watch over a river gorge, and the scholarly record simply lets go of it. Not suppressed, not classified, just under-resourced, in a country whose most spectacular archaeology sits 4 days deep in roadless cloud forest, competing for every research dollar against Machu Picchu. The sarcophagi survived because nobody could reach them. That is not a compliment to the system. That is geography. Doing, by accident, the job institutions were supposed to do on purpose. Radiocarbon dating eventually puts the Karajía burials at around 1460, give or take 60 years, right as the Inca Empire is swallowing the region whole. Which leaves an obvious question hanging over that cliff. Who were the people being buried like this, and why does the record barely remember them? Because here is where it gets darker. A decade after Karajía finally makes it into print, in 1996, workers from a cattle ranch near the town of Leymebamba find another set of tombs, cliffside burial towers called cholpas, overlooking a lake named Laguna de los Cóndores. No one on that ledge is an archaeologist. No one calls the Ministry of Culture. The workers open the burial bundles with machetes, hunting for anything made of metal, and the fight over what they find gets ugly enough that police have to step in. When an archaeologist finally reaches the site the following April, he counts what he can see and estimates 60, maybe 70 mummy bundles scattered across the ledge. The true number, once the salvage is done, is over 200, along with more than 2,400 artifacts, including knotted cord records called quipus, which may be the closest thing the Chachapoya ever had to writing. And then it gets worse in a way that has nothing to do with machetes. Word spreads, and adventure tourists start arriving before the archaeologists are finished. Strangers who never knew these people in life lift mummies out of their wrappings to pose for photographs. Others slip artifacts into backpacks as souvenirs, and every object that walks off that ledge erases part of a family story that no one will ever get back. The publicity is feeding the destruction in real time. It takes a 10-hour horseback trek to carry 219 recovered mummies and their belongings down to Leymebamba, where a purpose-built museum is finished in the year 2000 to hold them. Everything not recovered in that window is gone. sold into a black market running through North America, Europe, and Asia, taking with it the one thing archaeology can never buy back: the knowledge of who was buried next to whom and why. 2 discoveries, roughly a decade apart. One sat unpublished because nobody got to it fast enough. One got looted because nobody got to it fast enough. The Chachapoya are not hiding from us. We keep arriving late to a civilization that keeps surfacing faster than any institution responds. If you want to see what else keeps getting found too late, subscribe now, because the next case is already sitting on the ridge above La Halca. So, who exactly are we recovering this late in the process? The Chachapoya lived on the eastern slopes of the Andes in cloud forest the Spanish called the eyebrow of the mountain, from roughly 200 to 1500 AD. They left no writing system of their own. Even their name is contested. Some specialists argue Chachapoya was never one nation at all, just an Inca label stamped across a loose confederation of smaller groups to make them easier to govern. Others see genuine cultural continuity underneath that label. Nobody has settled it. And either way, the Inca needed the appearance of unity far more than the Chachapoya themselves ever had it. What nobody disputes is the engineering. The fortress complex of Cuelap sits above 3,000 meters, wrapped in defensive walls, holding hundreds of round stone houses decorated with zigzag friezes. When a local official rediscovered it for the outside world in 1843, the comparison he reached for was the Tower of Babel. Today, it draws a fraction of Machu Picchu's visitors, despite predating some of the very Inca engineering it's endlessly measured against. Peru's own heritage authority has spent years building the case to put Cuelap and the wider Utcubamba Valley forward for World Heritage status. The case keeps being made, the listing still hasn't happened. And there's a second unresolved thread running through this story, the kind this channel exists to sit with rather than explain away. Spanish chroniclers in the 16th century described the Chachapoya as noticeably lighter skinned than their Andean neighbors, some with fair or reddish hair. For centuries, that one description got recycled into every theory of mysterious pre-Columbian contact anyone wanted to sell. The genetic studies that actually exist tell a plainer story. Predominantly Andean ancestry, with a handful of debated signals that researchers are still testing, not confirming. The chronicler accounts and the genetic data have not been fully reconciled, and anyone handing you a clean answer today is guessing ahead of the evidence. That gap is not a cover-up. That is what a real open question looks like in an understudied population. Even the objects resist easy reading. The Puran Machu sarcophagi at Karajía are clay over a wooden frame, painted white, with a single band of red pigment across the face, like war paint that never washed off. They were built to be seen, facing outward over the gorge like sentries, in a place almost no one could reach. That's the same instinct that eventually put Kaufmann Doig's team on that cliff. Locals had known those figures were watching the gorge for generations before anyone with a research budget believed them. Compare that display to the humbler chulpas at Laguna de los Cóndores, where 2 of the towers appear to have been thrown up hastily by incoming Inca administrators to rehouse Chachapoya dead, moved from elsewhere on the cliff. Even in death, the record shows a people being reorganized by the empire that had just absorbed them. Now carry all of that back up to the ridge above La Halca, because the club heads pulled from that rubble are not decoration. Their carving style points backward, stylistically, toward Chavín, a religious tradition that peaked nearly 1,000 years before any Chachapoya society we can currently date. If that connection survives real analysis, one of 2 things is true. Either a thread of cultural memory runs through these mountains far longer than anyone has documented, or there was long-distance contact between the Amazon basin and the northern highlands that today's maps of pre-Inca trade simply do not show. Either answer rewrites part of the timeline, and right now, the 2 objects capable of doing that rewriting are sitting in a collection, waiting on a research budget, exactly like the Karajía sarcophagi waited in 1984, exactly like the Cóndores mummies waited for a rescue that arrived after the machetes did. The pattern survives because the terrain never changes. Cloud forest this dense gives nothing to a survey team on foot. It took LiDAR, laser mapping, the same technology guiding self-driving cars, to see through 500 years of canopy in a single flight. Which means every earlier generation of archaeologists here wasn't failing to look hard enough. They were carrying tools that were never going to find what was actually there. Meanwhile, the material that survived the rescue is still being worked through, decades on. The rancher whose men first cut into those bundles now guides tours to the same lake, the closest thing this whole story has to one person who stayed with it from beginning to end. Specialists cataloging the Leymebamba textiles have spent years on the recovered burial wrappings, weaving technique, iconography, trade connections, and Kipu researchers are still trying to determine how much of that knotted cord system was record keeping and how much was something else. None of it is fast, none of it is finished. A rescue only stops the bleeding, it doesn't produce an answer. Which changes the question this video opened with. It was never just why didn't anyone publish the tombs, it's how many more ridges like this one are sitting under that same canopy right now, and whether the people living closest to them already know, the way the guides who led the Antisuyo expedition to Karajía knew, decades before anyone with funding believed them. For 500 years, it's been easy to assume the cloud forest swallowed the Chachapoya whole. It didn't. The tombs were never hidden from us. We just couldn't see through the canopy that grew over them until a laser on a drone did it in one afternoon. Archaeology is still trying to catch up. Nobody has published the tombs at El Ajalca yet. The laser already knows exactly where they are. The only open question is whether anyone reaches them before the next 500 years do.